Heather, big weekend of gymnastics at Lincoln.
Yes. We have all 10 Big Ten teams here in Lincoln, and 5 are going tonight, and then we'll go with the other 4 on Saturday afternoon. So really great weekend to come out and be able to see some good gymnastics.
You know, Coach, just sitting there listening to you before, you know, we were off the air. And it seems like logistics has been a topic of discussion this morning. We were talking on the spillover about the logistical situation was when Nebraska went to Ireland, the football team went over there. Now think about your own logistical challenges. You got 10 teams.
Right.
That'll be competing in your house this weekend.
Yep.
That's a lot of guests coming to your house, because when my mom would have guests coming over, she'd always, and my wife is kind of like, we got to do this. Boy, you got to clean this.
Yeah.
How is now, obviously you don't have to do all that, but you also, this is your house.
Yep.
How do you prepare for it? Not even as a coach right now, just as a host.
Well, I mean, we weren't even scheduled to host this competition. So this was like a last minute kind of add to our home schedule anyways. It was supposed to be in New York, and something fell through with the arena that we were supposed to use. And then, you know, they started looking at some different schools, which schools didn't have conflicts. At Nebraska, we're one of the schools where our basketball team doesn't technically play in the same arena we compete in. So we had a little bit more flexibility. We also have Husker Vision, which really is a great opportunity for us to help produce and stream and or televise the competition.
Oh, wow.
So BTN will be in-house, and it'll be on live television tonight at 7 and noon on Saturday. So there was a lot of last minute. Now you got to get the officials that were originally going to New York. You got to get them to Nebraska. I think the community and obviously our people here that work for us and all the events and facilities and administration have really done a great job of, you know, being excited about hosting this. It's a great opportunity. It's a championship style meet. So it's just, you don't get that opportunity to host those all that often. So I think just being able to do that, we'll put on a good show. I trust our people. We do have high school state swim and dive going on currently. So there's all that logistical pieces. So
that's right.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some abnormalities to, like, had we known we were hosting it, we would have had maybe not as many hoops to jump through, but we're really excited. Went into the arena last night or yesterday afternoon, and it's all set up and ready to go. We've got these, we call them corrals, where teams have to kind of contain themselves within this that aren't competing. So you have the one athlete on, so that way it keeps the floor a little bit cleaner with 5 teams out there. You're not having teams run up and down the arena floor. So they're all set up and ready to go. It just makes it look really nice. So yeah, we're excited.
Coach, you mentioned Nebraska has Husker Vision. Are we one of the only schools that has that internal?
I'm fairly certain we're one of the only people that has the infrastructure. I mean, a lot of them have their own rights for television or for their own production crews. But our infrastructure allows us to really kind of be able to produce and use our equipment. It's definitely top tier in the Big Ten. I think our BTN would agree that our people that run Husker Vision really do a great job, and they can utilize not just their equipment, but their people to really kind of help them produce a great show.
Okay. Raph, what'd you say, brother?
I was going to ask Heather, so you mentioned that there'll be 5 teams in your guys' session when you go. How will that work for you guys? Do you have your drawing yet? Like how you'll...
Yeah, it was all a random draw. And so we actually start on beam. I don't recall where everybody starts, but the order for us will go beam, and then there's a bye event, which means we sit out while the other 4 teams go. So there's 4 events, 5 teams. Somebody has to be on a bye at all times. So we'll go beam, bye, floor, vault bars, which is the same rotation we had last year. And it was, I think, our highest, our best meet of the year last year. So we're really excited for this rotation. I think we got a great beam squad. They'll start us off good. You always want to be on the floor on the last rotation. So scores technically, I mean, like the theory behind all of this is scores tend to elevate throughout the competition. And so for us, it's our bye is early on, and then we'll have 3 more rotations and an opportunity to be out on the floor in that last rotation. Plus, then you kind of know what the other teams have already done at that point.
So is it okay? See, every time you come in, I learn something about gymnastics.
Yeah.
So how is it determined who gets the bye first? You guys how does that happen?
It's a random draw. So every year in October, the head coaches go to the Big Ten office, and we, obviously talk about a lot of different things. But one of the things we do every year is draw. So it'll be like team 1 starts here. So they'll draw a team, and then they'll draw the event that they start on. And then this team starts here. And so then it kind of just peaks.
So this was done clear back in October.
The draw was done in October. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you reveal where you guys are at of that? You can't.
We start on balance beam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll start on beam again.
Thought you had to keep it on the down low.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Minnesota's on the bye. I think Ohio State starts on vault. And then I can't remember the other which team starts where. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So will you take the team back into the locker room during your bye, or do you have them stay out and watch?
Yeah, that's a great question. We typically will go back to the locker room. I mean, we've talked about this when I've been on here before.
Yeah.
We try to really talk to the team about not watching scores and just kind of staying in your own bubble. And so it's best if they just kind of aren't out there, because then there's not that
distraction.
Yeah, or desire to want to sit there and watch what's happening. So they'll usually go back to the locker room. They kind of hang out. They'll, play games or dance or, just listen to music and kind of chill. It's a long meet, so we're not used to 5 rotations, So fueling is a whole nother thing that they'll do during that bye rotation, being smart at that piece. Yeah.
Coach, you mentioned when you go back to the locker room. I didn't think about that. How long do you wait?
Yeah. Okay. So during the warm up, it's 15 minutes, because when we warm up, you have 15 minutes on each event. During the competition, it just depends on how long it takes for the rotations to happen. Yeah. I would say it's usually around that 20-minute mark.
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
There. Okay.
Yeah. It's not enough where they, get really, really cold or, whatever. It's kind of a nice break, but you want to keep them kind of mentally active, because you really don't want to lose that momentum of the adrenaline. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, there's kind of some strategies. Each kid will have their own strategy of what they do during that time. Some will, be a little more crazy per se, dancing or whatever for a little bit. And then they'll want to sit and kind of get back in their zone and then ready to go. We'll go back in the locker room and kind of pull them out about 1 or 2 routines left to kind of get them back out onto the floor. And so it goes by faster than you think. Like at first you think, oh my God, 20 minutes. Like, what am I going to do for that time? Or how am I going to keep them active? But it really does go by pretty fast.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
When you, when you mentioned you went in the arena, Coach, did you ever go in there before the event starts, before anybody's in there, and just some coach time, just in the arena? So lights are kind of dim, maybe.
That's funny that you asked me that. I don't technically go in there and just sit. Like my nervous energy or my anxiety, I guess maybe more so, is I like to go in and make sure everything's where it needs to be. I'll be moving chairs, I'll be moving tables, and just kind of making sure everything's set up the way, kind of like what you're talking about with your mom, right? We're the host. I want everything in its place. I want to do a great
Where's
job,
that tablecloth with the end on it?
Right? Exactly. Why are they not out here? Where's the padded seat for the judge? So
and no padded seat for that judge right there, because I'm like, get that old one out.
We don't want them mad at us before it starts, so we'll give them whatever padded seat. Yeah. So I usually go in and walk around and kind of I'm usually there about an hour before. Sometimes up in my office, just kind of trying to get myself in a zone and thinking about, that pre-meet, like what's the message I want my team to think about going into this competition. And then we'll watch a psych up video. So they actually go out on the floor about half hour before the open stretch period starts, and we do what we call visualization. So some of them will have headphones on, some of them will just be walking around, but they'll go around to their events and they'll just kind of visualize their performance, right? So you're kind of in that headspace. And then we'll go back to our locker room. We'll watch our psych up video. We'll have a little team talk, and then we kind of go out on the floor together for the open stretch period.
You know, I got one more question before you dive in, Raph, and we let Coach get out of here. Coach, this is chaos.
Yeah,
I call it chaotic. It's chaos, but it's orderly. Chaotic.
Yep.
How do you keep your athletes dialed in to where one is on this event, someone's on the beam, someone's on the floor, a person is applauding over there, a person saying this over there? How do you keep? Because, you know, for me, I mean, squirrel, I get distracted easy.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and I'd be, are they clapping for me? How do you keep them dialed in at an event in this type of makeup?
Yeah. I mean, I think every time you have that opportunity to like really practice that situation, it's great, but it is definitely a lot going on, right?
It's hard to emulate that in practice.
All 4 events are going to be happening. What I will say is in practice, we do practice 3 events at a time. So you may have somebody going on floor while you're trying to do beam, but there's always that, you know, the added pressure. You're like the only one up there doing beam while somebody else is doing floor. So you just kind of try to have a conversation with them. I mean, we really talk about like, let's stay in our own bubble. Our focus is on that athlete that's up, whatever we need to do, whether it's she needs a pep talk, she needs a mat pulled. Our focus, our attention is doing whatever we can to help that one athlete be at her best at that one moment.
I like how you replicate that, because Coach Osborne and the team, our coaches, during practice, you probably hear it. They would pump in the crowd noise into the stadium.
That's funny that you said that. Yeah.
You know, so you try to replicate that just like a game time situation, just like you did there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest piece that can rattle a team, right? Is if you're not prepared for all that outside external noise.
Yeah.
It's not always the gymnastics going on that's the distraction. It's the outside noise, whether it's somebody just finished a floor routine and you're mid beam routine and their crowd is going crazy and their team is going crazy. Like that can get you rattled. We had a meet early on this year, so I like quad meets for that reason. It gets you in that kind of zone of being able to. So we've already faced this once this year where we had the ability to, you know, like, okay, when somebody else is loud, we don't always need to match them with being just as loud because, you know, let's just stay focused on what we need to do and in that moment, and try not to let that kind of rattle us, right? Because you can one flip second, right? And you're off that balance beam if you're letting your mind kind of wander.
Wow.
So yeah, it can be chaotic. It'll be fun for the crowd to watch because there's going to be a lot of gymnastics happening all at one time. Vault, you tend to get done pretty fast. And so then there's kind of a lot of dead time there, getting ready for bars. So keeping them involved or kind of in their bubble in that space can almost be just as challenging as during the event when there's all this other stuff happening.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So then, Heather, with it being like essentially, I know it's at Nebraska, but I assume like the Big Ten's kind of running the meet since it's the Big Fives. Are the ticket prices, are they the same price as what they normally are for Nebraska meet, or are they different?
I believe they're $7 for the reserved, $5 for the general admission. We still have tickets for sale. The majority of them are general admission. Tonight, the 5 teams that go are Michigan, Illinois, Penn State, Iowa, and Maryland. So their teams are all in town. They're ready to go. With one of the best things that I can say that helped us get this is the draw from our community and how our community turns out and supports our events. So I hope they'll do the same thing for tonight and obviously tomorrow afternoon when we're in the session as well. So come on out. I know the girls are really excited for a packed Devaney Center. You can see a lot of gymnastics, a lot of really great gymnastics that's happening around the country. So, and
I tell you what, you're going to have great weather for it too, from what I'm understanding. Weather is going to be awesome. 56 degrees tomorrow.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
56 tomorrow. I think 60 on Sunday, something like that.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's supposed to be pretty nice.
Bring on spring.
Absolutely.
Right.
We need it bad. We need it bad. Coach, again, so tonight they can watch. Tonight and they can go and watch. You mentioned the ticket prices. So you mentioned the ticket prices. What about televised? What time are those times going to be?
7 p.m. tonight, noon tomorrow.
Both Big Ten Network?
Both BTN.
All right. Raph?
Yeah, and then I also got one other thing to say. You also got a meet on Monday night, correct?
I know. It's like a lot of back-to-back gymnastics. I was telling him we got 3 meets in 6 days. So yeah, the Michigan meet was rescheduled. Since they were already going to be here for the Big 5 meet, we decided to stay here in Nebraska, their head coach and myself, to stay here in Nebraska and have that makeup meet. So that's on Monday night at 6 p.m.
Okay. Coach, we got a quick text for you before we go to break, and we let you take care of business. Scaper texted in and says, my daughter is 8 and does gymnastics. She idolizes all of you. Keep it up.
Yeah, that gives me the goosebumps. I really think it's full circle moment. One of the things I really pride about our team is I think they do a great job representing our program. Ultimately, we want to, be these role models for, we're the only school in the state that has gymnastics. So it's a great sport. It teaches them a lot of life lessons. And I think our athletes are a testament to how far you can take it.
I love it. Coach, I've always believed that when I was growing up, and I always remember this, little eyes idolize.
Yeah.
And I've always believed that. And so that's cool what Kay protects that in those girls. Think about all little girls and the guys that are there, that are seeing those guys and girls compete. It's like one day, I'm gonna wear that in.
I love the moments after the meet where a parent, posts a picture of their kid got to meet up with one of our kids, and it made their night or it made their year. But what's even more special is when my athletes come back and tell me about it. And I think as much as it means to these, 8-year-olds or 5-year-olds or these younger gymnasts, I think it means just as much to my team, because you just never know who's watching.
That's right.
And as a leader, you got to take the high road in a lot of different situations.
That's right.
That sometimes is the hard thing to do. And again, you just never know whose eyes are on you.
Well, Coach, I tell you what, our eyes are going to be on you and the gals as you compete and take care of business this weekend, folks. We always appreciate, and Coach Brink, we thank you for always being so kindly to do this.
Guys' support for sure. We're really excited, obviously, for the meet this weekend, and appreciate your guys' time in helping us get the word out.